What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development live stream, where we're working back in our Deck Knight project, a game built from scratch using Unreal Engine 5, C++, Blueprints, the Gameplay Ability System plugin, and all of that good stuff. So we made some good progress last week. We were able to get the duration stuff working, and we were able to update our IM GUI so we can add cards to our hand and stack things and kind of get things going. So now I want to work on actual card ability stacking, so active ability slot stacking. And what that means is if you have two of the same card, and it's an active ability card, for example, I want you to be able to stack them in the same slot. So on the bottom left, we have 5 active ability slots. 4 of them are locked. 1 is unlocked, right? And what I want to have happen is when you have an available ability slot, I want you to be able to slot in a card if you can afford it. Let me just make sure I have ignore costs enabled so I could just activate them. And I guess this debug ignore card cost does not work. So we'll have to fix that. Let's say, for example, so we have that slotted in, right? And then let's say I have a few more of those cards in there, right? What I could potentially do is when I try to activate it, instead of, obviously it failed and went into that slot, and yeah, I want that not to happen. I don't want it to go into the unavailable slot. I would want it to stack in that first slot. So we would have like maybe some icon on the top of it, on the side of it, to show how much stacks are available. I'm not sure how it would need to look, but basically then you would be able to activate it multiple times. So obviously now we're able to activate 2 at the same time because it was slotted into a different thing. So that's another issue I'm gonna have to figure out. How we would want to. I guess I should make sure I have all slots available, or I guess another kind of debugger to let me unlock slots, active ability slots, so I can get that to work. But yeah, for the sake of quicker iteration, first I want to fix this debug cost thing from IMGUI not working, because it should. So it says it's true, right? But I can't afford it. So I need to fix that. And forgive me, there's a kitty climbing into the desk. She went the scenic route, so she's going to appear. Lola, what are you doing? You want to say hi to the people of the internet? Oh, this is Lola. She likes to climb aboard and lay in the basket next to me. Sometimes she'll see her, sometimes you won't. Move you guys a little bit over there, so you'll see her eventually. But now she's occupying my space. And if any cat owners out there, you know, once there's a kitty in your face, you can't do anything else but pet the kitty. Hopefully she'll get in the basket. Boo-boo. And when she does get in the basket, the whole desk shakes. So we'll see. We'll see what she decides to do. In the meanwhile, let's try to fix this deck manager panel, because we have this checkbox, right? And all it does is enable that boolean. So obviously it makes sense that it doesn't do anything, right? So I think we have to wrap this into an if. If we'll let that returns. Do I have a setter? Probably have a setter. I'll have to. It's not that. That debug. Nor cost. I don't know if it really needs to be static or not, but make it static. And we want to take in, so bool. Guess I don't have to do it inline. What am I doing? Return this, right? Code mission. Got just a unit of a cat just in front of me here. Can I say? Oh. Okay. She made the jump. Can I say that? I wonder. Let's see. Now she get comfortable, right? Right, boo boo. But assuming I get that right, we have to do the whole ability stacking. And ability stacking, in of itself, is going to be messy because I have a subclass for stacked ability stuff, and I need to really figure out I need to figure out how best to handle this, because it does some of the heavy lifting stuff, like activating ability, gets the current stack value of how many things we could do. I don't know. Like, we're going to have to probably have some value on the ability for, like, how much can it stack? And I wonder how the stacking should work in terms of, like, a progression level. Like, can the player have only 2 stacks and then they kind of level up some progression method and then they can do up to 3, 4 times or something? Or should there be always like a fixed amount? I'm always in favor of just giving options and letting people stack if they want and spec into that kind of build. So we'll go with that. So let me just double check this cost. Okay, so nothing broke. But yeah, still nothing. And it's because I didn't tell it to do anything, right? Do that one more time. So yeah, with stacking, what's the idea here? I also have to figure out. I think it's within the card data asset that I'm originally doing this. So I feel like I have to extrapolate some of it to like the deck manager component, maybe. But yeah, we got data, then we got card. So card data asset only really does that. Okay, let me just check one last time. So set to true. Still doesn't do anything. No. Like, I have to like set some like kind of default value at some point for that, right? But hoping that'll work too. Let's see. So yeah, where is the logic really? So the deck manager component, it has activate card by instance ID, which is pretty much handling all that stuff, right? And we go all the way to activate card here. Activate card, all this mumbo jumbo, but then we eventually get to the point where we add it to the ability system. So give to ability system. And this is where we go through all the abilities and we find a slot. And then we go do a bunch of stuff here. Like, to me, I feel like the deck manager needs to be responsible for a lot more than it is. Just so it's all in one kind of central place. Checking one last time, just ignore cost. Yeah, works. Okay. So yeah, we check if the ability class is valid or not, then we go and we do a bunch of this stuff, right? So we get the ability spec, we get all the information to check, make sure it's ability slot type, and then we pass into the card ability config, duration effect, and ability type, and then we pass along the spec level. And then we add the tag for the slot that it gets slotted in. And then we add this card ability config handle. So I guess I would have to like let's go into let's go to FigJam. So let's go into here. You can see my scatterbrain in full effect. But so active card ability stacking. I think the first step is to check if a similar spec has already been granted, I think, right? So step one, has ability spec already been granted? A, and we say, if true, increment stack count of existing spec. Because again, if you have one already in, the activation of this card is not really going to be a true slotting in. It's going to be just incrementing this stack counter. So that when the ability gets activated again, or tries to remove itself, it'll check, hey, do I actually have another stack of this? And if so, decrement the stack and, let the player activate it again. Sorry, a message from people. So if true, increment stack of existing spec. 1B, if false, try to find available slot to put in ability. If available, 2. If no slot available, fail. Send info back to player. A. I guess I should say, I don't know, 2A, 2B, whatever. B, 2N, no, to be or not to be. If available, but like usual. So more or less that. So, like, ideally, like, I would, to me, like, I would want there to be more hooks into the deck manager component than there is right now. Like this gas thing, get available active ability slot, probably should be moved to the deck component. But let's write the pseudocode in code. So, what can we say? We'll check if spec this on gameplay ability system or in this T map that we have. Here, this handles, right? So we can do some tests to make sure that this is valid. Say, yeah, find ability spec from class. Or, and I say, because I have to do it via this. I feel like I need to have this a little bit more earlier. Maybe at the at the top. Kind of like that, right? So we do a double check here. Maybe redundant, I don't know. Now we can just use this owning a C. We can just do this. Right. So for owning ASC dot contains. So what do we pass? Spec dot handle, right? Let's see, we don't really have a spec. Oh, eventually have to go like this, right? And let's put a login. Okay. So it's not necessarily a problem, right? It's more, okay, now we know we have to increment the stack for that ability slot. So let's see if this will get that far. We'll let that compile and then we pray. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. So we got that. Now let's see if it actually works. So we're gonna have to look into our logging. And I think it'll be better to have a universal stack value. So again, on a per ability basis, per ability slot, you can have a max of a certain amount per slot. It's not like saying, okay, you can have up to 3 stacks, but that means like one slot can only have 1 and the other one can have 2 to total that 3. I want it to be max of 3 per active ability slot. And I think, and I'm not sure how, I'm guessing for the sake of consistency, passives can work the same way, where like you could literally just stack the gameplay effect that's associated with most passives, where it's like, okay, you have plus 20 health every time you do something, I don't know, and then you can stack a few on top of that one that's already slotted in, and just make it stronger. So I'm hoping it's not too much overload. So we're gonna just have to see if this will work. So let's go actually into our deck manager component. We're also have to go into the UI, I'm assuming. So deck manager component. No, it's our player state, sorry. This is the player state, has our component in it, and we can just by default give it another card in our hand. Same type, this GA underscore test card. Let's give it a different level. Card level 1, sure. That's a level. So we're looking to see if we will get that UE log in this case. I guess we could put a breakpoint too, just to see it. So, okay, sense, and then so we get to here. Okay, so we can't even activate it. So that's, I guess that's also true. Well, let me make sure we have ignore call, because I'm wondering if do you get a potential discount of card cost if you slot the same card in? I'm not sure. Because again, you don't have that much card resource at the moment, but that maximum can also change, and then you can really get a lot of turnaround. That's at least what I'm hoping for. So maybe that's a potential. So we do that, and then here, right? So I do want to be confident that both of these are true. So what I'll do is kind of separate them out first, their own statements, just to confirm. So if also doing, or why do I have ASC and then owning ASC? Well, I guess I should just be using owning ASC regardless, but okay. I'm just gonna put a breakpoint there and there, and let's compile. And once we know that much, we can then start making plays in that the ability itself, I think, can hold a stack count by default. I believe so. Because it'll live on the actual ability side of it itself. So I feel like that's a valid place to put it. But we'll see. But then I'll need to have Probably I'll need to have some dispatchers so I can update UI side of stuff, but again, baby steps, right? So let's make sure we ignore card cost and we do that, and then we go bam, right? So we get that. Cool, makes sense. But is it also true? So gave me a bunch of crap. Let's try it one more time. Bam, bam. Okay, so it is problematic. Why? Why? Not sure why I'm getting... Not insurers, but... So, yeah, we're getting that, but we're not getting that. Okay. I'm not... I'm not sure why. But what's wrong? So, activate card, activate... Yeah. Like, what part of it is it failing? Like, there, I'm guessing. That's bizarre. Well, let's do a recompile just to be sure, because maybe I have to. So yeah, find ability spec class. There's a whole iteration loop, and then we do like ability class, right? So I feel like maybe I need to do a similar helper, where I have to be like, okay, in a find card ability config handle from class as well, and do a very kind of similar iteration. Maybe that's necessary. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. But yeah, let's try one more time just to be safe. We'll probably get the same error. Yeah, we have to ignore cost. Bam. Okay, so this time, no, but so this doesn't become true. So I think we need to do something very similar. So a blueprint library, maybe it could be handled in that. Or it could be in the ability system itself. Let's do it in the ability system component itself. So we'll do here. We'll do public. Pretty much here. So U function. Say blueprint callable. Why not? Do I have any other categories that make sense? One thing at a time, right? So I wanted to get card. Do I have access to the class? Not sure. So I want more or less a Boolean at this point, right? Because this is what this other one is doing. So fine. This kind of works as a is valid kind of thing, right? So I feel like mine should work in a similar fashion. So let's take in a class. I feel like it shouldn't be the handle. Maybe I could just do a bool. Maybe something to that effect. And then I should say for, what do you want to say? Well, I mean, that's also true. Maybe this is just a redundant function call. But can I say, like, uh, I simply say something like this. Guess something like that. I hope. Let's see if that will work. There's another thing here. I'm going to put just a to-do for later. Do I need to scope this for only active ability card types, or can this be reused for passive cards as well? Who knows? It'd be one of life's mysteries. Because again, I also got to figure out where I'm putting a lot of this data. I'm always getting kind of lost. Inside the card data asset. Oh. What happened? In here, yeah, we don't have any card data, and then card data I think exists in that, and there's card type, ability card. I think I have to say like active ability card, or because like there's different types of abilities. There's active abilities where you have to manually input into the keyboard or gamepad to activate and get slotted in. And then there's other ones that just have instant ability effects. Like summons, for example. You could just summon a creature or something, get spawned into the world, it just kind of inhabits that world for whatever amount of time. Based off some timer, based off its own health, something. But let's see. Okay, so again, it's not liking this, but it got there. So if I do that, I'm not sure what it's complaining about, honestly. Yeah, so it's there. So it can work. So at this point, we can update that or first owning ASC like that. Now let's do a reload of that. Gotta make sure I set my alarm for tomorrow. But let's make sure we don't get any warnings or errors or yeah. It's what is oh fucking yeah, with this shit, yeah, you can't use that. So that should hopefully work. I always forget. You know, UE_log. You do the whole percentage and then the type. So S for string, D for digit, I think, F for float. But when you use UE_log FMT, you just gotta use it like this kind of syntax. So that should be better. But yeah, now I have to figure out where I need to. Let's just be super duper certain again. So bam, bam. Okay. So technically slotted twice in that case. Yes, so GA evasibility already exists in the ability system. So we know that. So now we need to handle the actual stacking aspect of it. Because like F granted ability config. I think we need to introduce a new thing in here, which is the stacking. So edit anywhere. UN32. Ability stack count. I'll say 1. Now we just need to have a way. So we basically then need to find this config. So now we have to find it. So how do I want to find it? I guess that has to be like a similar situation where it's like, okay, find spec from a handle, because this is F gameplay ability spec handle. This is at the same type. It is okay. Hey, I have not a single clue what I'm looking at. Oh, yeah. Join the club. Trying to figure out the logic behind what I'm trying to do with stacking. Like, I need to be able to find the appropriate spec handle based on the card that I'm trying to slot in, and then increment its stacking aspect of it, so I can get a callback and understand in the ability itself how much stack it has. Because I'll need like an internal counter as well in the ability to kind of push against or test against. So yeah. Let's see, our find ability spec gets that. That's gameplay. Let's just do this. Let's just brute for this right now. Oh. There's that, right? And then I want to say what? That's not really it. All right, so can I write into that now? I don't know. I don't know if that's really truly safe to do. So I'm getting the card ability configuration from this T map that the ability system component's holding, and I'm just then incrementing that one that I found there. But I don't know if I'm incrementing on a copy or if it's the actual value. Like, can I alternatively say again, this might be something I want to do internally into the ability system component, probably. But I want to be able to let me. I do have a blueprint only to get the part of config handles. So I should be able to just print this out over time. So let me see if this works. We'll go from there. Doesn't like UN32, that's fine. So hope this will work. Then we need to broadcast some delegates and stuff. So yeah, let's go into, I guess, the player character. And let's just make a quick enhanced input event call to something. So I think alpha male. Don't need that movement mode thing anymore. That was for a different bug. So yeah, we have all these helpers. So enhanced, or just, it's not enhanced input, but let's do the 9 key. Then should be able to get ability system component. Is it of my type? Yeah. Granted. No. It's blueprint read only, right? For each loop. So the key is the handle and the value. This is config. So should be able to print string and pen that string. So I guess I should also have, that should be like a length, right? So length, yeah, it's greater than 0. Then we do it. And then we could say append. I guess I could do print text. So I can format text. And then I could say ability. Stack count. Count. Should be able to say. So I have a spec handle. Can I get ability? Be like a get display name. Stack count. Hopefully that'll work. So honestly, if I press 9, nothing happens. I grant, let's make sure I have in cost. I grant the first one, I press 9, I get stack count 1, evasive fireball. Now I do the second time, I press 9, stack count 2. So awesome. So that works. So I have effectively a stack count. So now I should be able to internally kind of view that inside of the ability. Because again, if I grant these two, like nothing happens to the second one. So I'll need inside of the active ability, is there an ability slot UI? Yeah. I do have an ability stack counter that would go above it, right? So I already have something there. So I need, essentially I need a way of knowing which slot to update and show the stacks on. So I would need a delegate about, updating stack count, I guess. A generic one that can update when I add a stack and when I remove a stack. I guess a potential issue with this whole stacking mechanic is You can always kind of keep it slotted in there. I just only use one of this. We'll have to play test it just to see if this mechanic makes sense. So we instantiate, and then yeah, eventually we need to get. So I think, yeah, this is not anything in C++, so we would need to get, I think, the ability system component, because I don't think we get that, right? Okay, we do, but where? I guess we're instantiating it when we're adding it, so we should have access to it. So I think this ability system component should be responsible for kind of delegating this back out to the specific ability. Like they can all listen to him and only kind of react because we have ability object, but I don't think we have a spec, right? So we would have to figure out, because we have card info, we break card info, we have just that kind of information, card icons, cost, and stuff like that. So we need to be able to access the spec from this too. But first, let's create a new delegate in our ability system component. And again, I don't know in my heart of hearts if it should be the deck manager or not, but it's ability related, so I'll just keep it in the ability system component. I have to look at some references here. So one param, which could be the count, or maybe it needs to be 2 param, and it returns the spec in question. So that can be read by the yeah, that's probably for the best. So we'll do that, but we'll change that to 2 param. And we'll say f so f active hard ability stack count changed, and then we'll say int 32 new stack count, and then I guess it could just be class. Not terribly sure. I see this. Okay, I know why. Is it 2 params? That, yeah, okay. Cool. Now I need to, I don't know if it needs to be public or not. So let me just find this where my is public blueprint assignable, so we'll do that. Same. Account changed. That now should be able to say active card broadcast. So that should hopefully work. Let's check. Now we should be able to bind into that in our UI. Hopefully. Check to see if we get that call back correctly, and then we can test it. So we should be able to go back to that UI. On instantiate ability slot, we should be able to kind of do some stuff here. Like, obviously this is a mess. I have to clean this up for now. Story of my life, right? Let's grab our ability system component. And we can do this cast to gas horse, ability system component. And then we can do assign. Our ability stack count changed. That. Binding here, we're going to also clear it out. So I think there's a destruct, right? Or deconstruct. But there's something very similar, except in the opposite way. Bind count. End of the cleanup. Again, I would ideally work on this in C++ down the line. But it is what it is. Let's get back to business, right? So we can do this. We can get our ability object. We do it is valid get. And then we can say get class equals ability class. And then we could say this, that. Then we could say new stack count. Is it greater than 1? If it's true, what do we want to do? We want to, there should be this, like, stack thing. So stack duration bar. There's all this stuff. So I should have some logic in place for stacking. I don't know where it is. So handle ability stack budget, right? So do something like this. This whole logic is going to have to get thrown out, I'd imagine. It's going to be a little more simple, I hope. Again, famous last words. Go like that. So if it's true, do that. If it's not, then more or less the opposite. Because yeah, there's the scalar for percentage. So availability stack duration. Actually, we don't really need to do that. So we hopefully can just do something like that. And then otherwise, we should just be able to say hidden. So let's see if we even get to this. So 1, and then we should get it now, which we do. Stack change count, we got 2. We go like that, like that. So this is evasive fireball. This is evasive fireball. We get to here, we get to there, right? So where is the game again? So yeah. So we do have the stat counter showing. But yeah, something didn't do something correctly. But yeah, this issue. So we can literally just put in new stack count. One and then two. And I wonder if it's clearer to say, okay, I have 2 stacks. Or is it like, the icon itself, the ability slot itself says, okay, this is 1, and then the stack count on top of it would say 1, so you would know, okay, after I use this one, this new one will kind of slot in. But yeah, we're getting some runtime errors, so let's look. So from unbind, so we just gotta do an is valid. I guess we could just turn that into a validated get. Just be super duper sure. So bam, bam, stop. Okay, awesome. So the next step is for the ability itself to know about this stack count, right? So I use it, right? And we got that, right? Then I have this one, and then it's like that, right? Uh-oh. So ability on cooldown. Not sure where that came from. Okay. We activate this one, bam, right? Then it's like, hello, hello, hello. And then I do that. Okay, so that all seems fine. So I think this might be a good place to end it so we can start on Tuesday. The actual connection to the ability itself. Oh yeah, it's the dodge ability on cooldown. Yeah. But yeah, probably have some animation too for when abilities are slotted in the same position. Like when you add it, it's very underwhelming. So probably something worth doing next time. So to close out, let us go into our tasks. So we have a bunch of to do, but we're going to say we'll add animation for when stacks are added to active ability slot. And then we're going to say hook stack count to ability to track when to fully move. And then we want modify update attribute set to contain only max stack count attribute. Because again, that could also be some interesting modification levels of like the game itself, where you can activate a passive card that just says, okay, you can now stack twice as much if you wanted to, and for like that amount of times, it'll let you stack that amount. So I think that'll be a good amount of things to do this week. So that's where I'm going to end it. So thank you everybody so much for watching. It's always super duper appreciated. If you're watching here on Twitch, make sure to follow. If you're watching there on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to join our Discord. Make sure to, again, subscribe there on YouTube. And show your support. We'll be back probably on Tuesday. So enjoy your Sunday. Hope you have a good week. And I'll see you soon.